Good afternoon, my name is Jim Conlan and welcome to the latest episode of our entertainment show. As you know, each week on our entertainment show in part 3, we premiere a new TV series or movie that is debuting in Ireland and the UK for the upcoming months. And for this week, we're going to concentrate on a TV series. April is nearly around the corner here now, just a few days. And one of the smash hit TV series that is making our way here to channel Netflix UK and Ireland on April the 13th is a real sort of action sort of thriller in terms of the daughter of a crime boss goes on the run to Florida. She's sort of been hunted down in terms of bringing her back by an ex-cop. People have compared it to the Paper Empire, which is coming out later on the year in terms of its brilliance, in terms of featuring Robert Davi. This is called Florida Man. It features an all-star cast including Abbey Lee, Edgar Ramirez, Lauren Bugoli, Emery Cohen, Paul Schneider, and our special guest this evening, the one and only Gregg. Clark, thanks for joining us today. And how excited are you for Florida Man?
I'm very excited to be talking to my friends in Ireland and to you, Jim. It was one of the best scripts I'd read in quite some time. That very kind of razor's edge of noir comedy thriller, and reminded me of the Soderbergh movie Out of Sight that I loved. And a bunch of great actors, Anthony LaPaglia, another person in that cast who's great. And I went down and I played a role in it, but I also directed the last 2 episodes. It's being produced by Jason Bateman's company, Aggregate Films, and Michael Costigan, who are doing really great stuff. They did Ozark.
And Clark, can you tell us about your role as a sheriff catcher? Are you the normal Southern State police officer in terms of old-fashioned, maybe sort of steeped in the law, maybe bound by the sort of the redneck type views, dare I say?
Well, I wouldn't want to pigeonhole him as purely a redneck, but he is a sheriff on vacation from Durham, North Carolina, which is very close to one of the main places I grew up. And he has the misfortune of misplacing his gun right when he arrives in Florida. And this is not something that he's able to manage in any way. And he perhaps loses his mind a little bit trying to get his favorite special gun back. Why he took his gun on vacation, you'll have to watch. Why he can't get a gun in Florida, a town where, as he says, there's a gun every 10 feet on the ground. Again, you'll have to watch.
Is he a bit OCD in nature? Is he a bit obsessive or compulsive in his actions?
I think he's more obsessed. I don't think he feels fully a man unless he's got his really spectacular giant handgun with him at all times. That may be a particularly American phenomenon. There are reasons to think it is.
And I suppose, Clark, the relationship between Abbey Lee and Edgar Ramirez, and for me, I saw the trailer of it, and really Abbey Lee sort of stole the show in terms of the trailer and in terms of her portrayal as this sort of mobster sort of girl that's on the run. She really indulges, she gives it all in terms of the sort of role, in terms of where she's willing to go with it. And do you think this is going to be a project that is going to catapult her to much bigger things, as she's certainly getting rave reviews?
Yes, I absolutely do. I was lucky to get to direct her in those final 2 episodes, and you just sit at the monitor feeling lucky that you've got that performance going into an episode that you get to direct. She's remarkable. I think it's going to make her a star. It's really, and Don Todd, the creator of the show, the showrunner, the writer of this show, he wrote a really unique, special version on that kind of noir femme fatale. And the relationship, I think Edgar Ramirez is also just remarkable. And the 2 of them together really kind of burn the screen up.
And what was the shooting and production like on set on Florida Man, Clark? Did you shoot the first series in maybe 2 months, or was it a bit less than that? Or what was it like production in terms of shooting? Were you long days, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. or in terms of, and did you, when you committed to Florida Man, were you able to take on any other projects or side projects, or was that a full two months of your life just Florida Man? Okay,
so first part of the question, it was, I think, closer to 3.5 months. And because it's a kind of noir crime thriller in crazy Florida. There was a lot of night shoots. So, we were working some long hours, but the cast really got on, as you would say. And we had a blast together, and we were down by the beach. So we'd occasionally have a day off together down by the beach. And it was a fast pace and a lot of fun. I was, as I said, my character's kind of running a parallel storyline and meets up with the main characters a certain way down the road. And so I was also doing a really exciting Netflix limited series in Toronto called Painkiller, produced by Eric Newman and directed by the great filmmaker Pete Berg, with Matthew Broderick and a really excellent cast. And so I was going back and forth between this Netflix limited series in Toronto and this Netflix new series, Florida Man, in North Carolina, mostly.
And I suppose, Clark, that was probably a rigorous time, because you're not jumping states, you're jumping countries, dare I say, in terms of filming and sort of production. So was it 1 week here, 2 weeks there, in terms of that, in terms of what it was sort of like? And obviously, at the time, did you feel, was it something you normally do, take on 2 projects at the one time, if it's not only a day role or a guest role? Do you obviously those things you can probably take on in terms of a project?
Yeah, you're exactly right. It depends on the size of it. I mean, our business is a little different right now here in that, I don't know, ending about 3-4 years ago, I was doing this show, Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which, was 22 episodes for the first 5 seasons. So you couldn't do anything but that for 9 or 10 months of the year. Now people are doing, 8 episodes, 12 episodes. So it's very common where people are trying to do more than one in a given year. And luckily, both shows with Netflix, and they were really cool about making it possible.
And I suppose, Clark, in terms of Florida Man, in terms of the stunts and the action sort of sequence, obviously, I presume you did most of those yourself. You didn't really have a stunt double in terms of any sort of stunts or effects that you had to partake in.
I had one or two kind of stunty moments that luckily I was able to do myself. They had a really terrific stunt team, and so there's some really kind of spectacular noir gunfights and stunts that happened in there. And but I was lucky that my stuff was manageable and I could do it myself.
And Clark, you mentioned there about another Netflix biopic that's coming out with Matthew Broderick. You might enlighten our viewers, our listeners about that, because no doubt that will be coming about. Maybe if it's not coming our way this month, it'll be coming our way in the next month or so.
The last I've heard, it's coming out sometime this summer.
Okay.
It's really spectacular, really interesting take on, to me, kind of Shakespearean and irreverent take about the Sackler family, which is a very famous family here in the States that ran Purdue Pharma and really invented the concept of advertising and influencing various doctors to use their products, which were unfortunately oxycodone. And they kind of found experts who they could influence or pay to say it wasn't addictive. And they ended up generating a huge number of addictions and deaths in this country. But it's about kind of seeing the American dream going wrong with this, told in a very unusual way. We had a really terrific miniseries or limited series called Dope Sick with Michael Keaton last year about the same epidemic and to a certain extent the same family. This is really different. And as I said, feels more kind of irreverent and lyrical and almost Shakespearean in the way that it examines the way this madness happened.
And you, as an actor, Clark, do you like projects based on true stories?
I like them both. I mean, I can't say that the time I spent in Marvel was necessarily based on true stories, but I found the really effective pieces always seem to be, the way a lot of good science fiction or comic book stuff, it's definitely mirroring something that we're seeing, in a slightly fantastical way, but it always works best when it feels like it's really hitting home. And I guess that's a really good question, because what I liked about Dope Sick is, even though it feels like everything in there was incredibly well researched and based on this terrific book called Empire of Pain. I felt like they allowed the poetry, they allowed the ways, the madness to creep into it and to take some chances. So they took it away just from being purely, the courtroom factuality of it.
And I suppose, Clark Craig, before we let you go now, we're going to going back to finish up about Florida Man, and you might lighten all our viewers, all our listeners, why they should tune in en masse on April the 13th on channel Netflix, UK and Ireland, and watch Florida Man. And what's in store for them, Clark Craig?
I think there's a lot of stuff that's dark and scary, and there's some stuff that's funny. I think Florida Man really hits an unusual pocket of being really thrilling and romantic and also really funny.
Just before we go, Clark, you mentioned before we came on air that you had some Irish blood in you, and maybe you might lighten all our audience and listeners about that.
Yes, my family name is McGregor, which is Scottish, but there also was on the other side Shine. My mother's family was Shine, which came from O'Shane and came over to Virginia in the mid 1800s, and all were Irish there.
Okay. On that note, Clark Craig, thanks for joining us this evening to premiere Florida Man. You played the role of Sheriff Ketcher. We wish you all the best in your upcoming projects in 2023. And last thing, both to note, from me, Jim Conlan, to you, Clark Craig, stay safe, take care, and God bless.
Thank you so much, Jim.